the process of understanding the components of it made a big deal. I've been studying for about 2 months now, 2 months and a week, and I've fortunately jumped 10 points from 156 to 166. And I have 19 days now until the August LSAT. So we're trying to decide the best use of our time moving forward.
Yeah, well, that's a fantastic increase already. And so where do you need to pick up those last few points?
So I'm missing on some flaw questions and some of the harder sufficient assumption questions.
Okay. And what does your review process look like?
So I've been doing full practice exams 2 to 3 times a week. Whether it's 2 or 3 times depends on how quality of a review I'm able to get in and not burn myself out. So I'm going in and doing a blind review. And then for the questions that I miss, what I'm doing is trying to verbalize why I thought why I thought my answer was correct, and then why I was actually wrong about that, and why this answer is actually the correct answer and my answer was wrong. But I haven't been able to get it to stick whenever it comes to test time.
Okay, so that's part of the process of review. What about analyzing the stimulus?
I might be missing on that one. Can we
Okay.
talk? Let's go more into that.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I recommend what I call the Socratic review method, which requires analyzing where your misunderstanding stems from. Is it the stimulus, the question stem, or the choices? You talked a little bit about the review process for the answer choices. What was tempting about the wrong answer that made you pick it, and what ultimately makes it wrong? And what was unappealing about the right answer that pushed you away from it, and what ultimately makes it correct? But the choices are just one piece of the puzzle. There's also the stimulus, and there's also the question stem. So when you read the question stem, are you properly identifying which question type it is, what it is that they're asking you for? So for flaw questions, obviously, you know, it's flawed. You're looking for the flaw. Are you then taking the time to pre-phrase the flaw when you go into the stimulus? So you read the stimulus, are you looking to extract that flaw and articulate it for yourself before going on to the choices? So there's a moment to pause and reflect on what is the task being asked of you.
Could you give me a little more details about the Socratic review?
Yeah. So I talked about the choices. We talked about the question stem. There's also the stimulus. So you want to think about what about the stimulus may have tripped you up. Was there a particular method of reasoning that you weren't able to fully absorb? A lot of times students will read the stimulus, they'll be confused by it. They'll say, okay, well, I'll look at the choices and see if that helps. But the choices only further complicate things really because they only make sense in the context of the stimulus. And they only make sense when you're keeping first and foremost, what is the task being asked of you in the question stem? So there are lots of different ways they can ramp up the difficulty level of the stimulus. Confusing wording, failing to include evidence conclusion indicators or conditional indicators, using words like unless, except, until, without, burying the conclusion in the middle, topics that you don't like or that pre-law students typically don't like, so things like science or things like philosophy that tend to get away from people's everyday real-world experience. And you're not going to fall for all of those, but there are certain ones you're uniquely prone to falling for or certain ones that will uniquely give you difficulty. And so recognizing that and focusing on it will help you avoid making the same mistake in the future. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.